So what I'm going to talk about is accidents. There's a poet, Denise Levertov, who was an American poet, and she had this wonderful line once where she said, let us go then, you and I, much as that dog goes, intently haphazard. And when I started going blind when I was 18, that's essentially the life I took on for myself, was a life of intentional haphazardness. And eventually, somehow that led me here, and to being a writer of both books and movies. And I thought I'd talk about a couple of the design things that I've come across along the way, and things that they've shown me about various elements of the world. So let me go back to the beginning. 530 million years ago. So 530 million years ago, the first complex eye appeared on the planet. That's the estimation anyway, give or take probably a few million years. I actually had to look this up and check it, and since I read this fact like 3 years ago, it's still 530 million years, so it's not out of date. And this is from a guy out of Oxford named Andrew Parker, who's an evolutionary biologist. So the first complex eye appears on the planet. What does that mean? Well, basically the protein blobs that are swimming around in the oceans are starting to develop photosensitive membranes, and those are evolving into what we will now think of as sight. 500,000 years follows in which we witnessed on the planet the most hypercharged Darwinian evolution ever. In that 500,000 year period, more shapes, features of the anatomy of species, more species themselves, of flora and fauna and animal, all developed in that 500,000 years than has subsequently. And the attribution for that has always been a bit of a mystery in the Darwinist circles of why that period happened. And Andrew Parker, in this wonderful book called In the Blink of an Eye, traces it back to the presence of the first eye. Because basically, the species that started to develop an eyeball enjoyed a hyper-Darwinian advantage, and they could now eat everything they wanted to, and nobody saw them coming. So if you didn't have an eye, if you weren't one of the cool blobs, you actually had to develop something else to deal with these damn predators that have eyes. So what you would develop is maybe spikes to suggest, ouch, don't bite me, or colors to suggest toxicity, or you develop a little dance that suggests that you might be really vicious. And basically what you have is the birth of both visual meaning and culture. And so even if you couldn't see, you had to be seen. My suspicion is now with Facebook and other modern amenities, people are going through a different kind of evolutionary period now, because now everybody thinks they'll be seen all the time and archived forever, which has got to do something to our cognitive structure. But that's another point. So that's 530 million years ago. I just want you to keep that in mind, that even if you can't see, you have to be seen. Let's fast forward to my story. So what happens in the interim? We harvest nuclear energy, we put people on the moon, we decoded the human genome, we've started to decode the microgenomes of bacteria, we have cloned sheep, we have teleported atoms across a room, and I have a stick. That's as good as it got. It hasn't changed. Technology has advanced in so many ways, and there are so many interesting things being developed for blind people, but really, we like our sticks. Don't take them. And there's various reasons why, and I thought I would just point out, like, I love the stick, and I'm here to defend the stick. I mean, I felt very weird coming to a design conference because I've got a stick, and you guys have, like, these computer things, but I got a stick. And the thing is, the stick is a very amazing technology. And I think of it like Marshall McLuhan says, and a technology is anything that extends your body. And so what we've done is we've taken the function of the eyes and we've replaced them with this thing that you hold in your hand. So really, sight is a form of touch at its closest approximation. Well, what is the stick so great for? Why doesn't it get improved upon? I mean, even in the culture of the blind, very few of us have dogs. Dogs are still like the second choice. We kind of scoff at the doggers, secretly. It's like, oh, you have a dog. You're one of them. But the stick is a genre, and a genre is a set of strategies for any recurring situation, right? So a stop sign is a genre. It has various strategies built into it. It's red, it's eye level height, it's always on the right side of the road. If those features didn't accomplish what it was designed to do, we would change it, right? We would make it scream stop with an exclamation mark if it would help, but we don't need to because it still works. The stick hasn't changed because it still does its job, and that's part of the thing, is people have not designed a way to actually improve upon it. You could develop microchip retinas, as Optobionics in Naperville, Illinois here were doing. They still can't improve on the damn stick. And I just want to defend one of the reasons why, which is when the stick breaks, I can fix it. When my dog breaks, I can't fix it, right? And when my microchip retina fries my eye, you don't want me behind the wheel of a car, right? So there is an alternative to the dog and the stick. And it is an actual skill called echolocation. Now, some of you may have heard of this before. You may have seen this guy on Oprah or other places. I call this guy Dolphin Man because I met him once at a conference, and he's kind of my nemesis. And what he does is he has trained himself over the last decade to echolocate himself through the world. And what he does is he just stands there and he does this. Like a NORAD satellite dish. And he tisks at you, like shaming you constantly. Now, it's funny, because it is funny. It's kind of like, you could have a stick, man. You don't need to do that. But no, he does this, and he does it with amazing precision. He can tell you what is in front of him. He can scan a room, tell you where the windows are by the acoustics coming back off of it. I watched him, quote unquote, walk through a playground and echolocate and tell us where the basketball hoop was and how far away it was. And now, it's an amazing party trick, and he actually does go through the world this way. But there's a reason he can do this, and it is through extreme perseverance and isolation. That is, he basically cut himself off from any assistance and put down his cane and sold his dog, and then made himself learn how to do this until he could survive. The consequence is he is an interminable a-hole. You would not believe what this guy is like. He is just unbelievable. And he's just shouting people down when they offer to help him. And so I was at the buffet table, and I was like, staring at what I thought was the buffet table and trying to figure out, well, where am I going to put my hand? And this woman came up to me and she said, "Can I help? Would you like, there's plates, and I don't mind if you." I said, "Oh God, yeah, totally. I don't want to stick my hand in anything." And she said, "Okay." I just wasn't sure because I helped a gentleman yesterday, and he got very angry at me. And I had my suspicions, and I said, "Who was it?" And she said, so we knew, and we ate our salads, feeling quite smug about the whole thing. Now, he and I left the conference, and they dropped us off at the airport, and they took us both there at once, and the host who was driving us said, "Would you gentlemen like me to guide you to the gate?" And before I could open my mouth, he says, "We're fine," and he's off. And my host was so taken aback, she apologized profusely and started getting into her car. Now, if you know anything about me, which you don't need to, I am so not fine. And this guy was gone, and I'm like, fuck. So I got my cane, and I am chasing after this faint NORAD ticking noise into the airport, hoping he knows what he's doing. And we get down through the gates, and it's one of those airports where you have to walk out onto the runway. And he opened the door, and I followed him through, and I'm giving him the cold shoulder at this point. And so we're walking through the doors, we get on the runway, and I can hear the plane. And I thought, there is no way Dolphin Man is going to hear his little faint echolocation off these, and there's no way I'm going to be the one stupid enough to follow him. So, as I said, genres are recurring strategies for recurring situations. I have a stick. It does much of my work. I have another genre at an airport, which is I stare at shit. And what you do is you stare at anything. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I could be looking at the back of your knees. I could be staring at your earlobe. I could be staring at signage. I could be like standing right in front of a wall, as far as I know. But if you stare at something too long in an airport, somebody always comes along and says, "Can I help you?" Because it is an unspoken it's an unspoken fact that it's illegal to stare at anything for very long in an airport. So I drilled my eyes to the tarmac and I waited. And eventually somebody came along and guided me onto that plane. And I'll tell you, when we disembarked in Vancouver, I did not hear a single tisk, tisk as he walked off. So I still like to fantasize he's walking around the vineyards in Kelowna, fiercely independent but feral for it.